Your headlines this week. Perri gets bail but has to make a difficult choice as he faces the long road ahead. Mac signs on the dotted line. Abby attends counselling and opens up to cool counsellor Tim. And Bree faces the music at the tribunal but makes a huge misstep accusing Levi of interference. Will it cost her relationship? Plus, stick around later on to hear your social media comments about Home and Away as the popular Your Say on the Bass segment is back.
As medical professionals, we make life and death choices every day. And yes, mistakes can be made. And while I admit that my patient may have been put at risk because I delayed administering the appropriate medication, there was a very good reason for that.
What do you mean?
I was checking my patient's blood results to ensure that the correct medication was being given. Dr. Fowler swoops in and starts taking over the case. He starts telling people that I'm negligent. He shouldn't have even been in the ED. His department's, it's on another floor. And he shouldn't have been anywhere near that patient. Especially when the blood tests hadn't even been checked. He's an egotist who muscles in on everything and everyone.
Dr. Cameron, can you back this up?
Yes. Yes, it's not the first time that it's happened. He interfered with another patient of mine, Remy Carter.
These are very serious allegations.
Yes, they are. I'm aware of that.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a Home and Away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Right, Sophie, Kirby starts her new job as Chief Podcast Marketer this week. Exciting news.
Wow. Is she going to get someone else to do all the work and pay them for it?
Yeah, some big city marketer. Yeah, going up and up and up in the world.
Oh, dear. I just love the fact that she was like, yeah, I've got all these ideas. And the idea is basically to get someone else to do it and pay them. I was like, that's not really... No. Anyway.
And Marley pay them.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you? Are you okay?
I'm all right. I've got a bit of a cold thing going on, so my voice is a bit croaky. But apart from that, I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, we'll look after you. We'll look after you this next hour or so. I'm all right, thank you. We're getting back into the swing of Home and Away, aren't we? Week 2 complete.
Gosh.
Yeah, getting on with it. I don't know about you, but there's been a bit of a come down from the first week back on air for me. I'm being completely honest.
What do you mean you've not been as excited this week, or?
Well, we mentioned, didn't we, last week? I'm struggling with Abby. Bree's not one of those that are up there for me. So, although we're talking online, sort of along the tweet along during the week, and I'm grateful that she's got some story. So I'm willing to let it go, but I've got to sit through it. Do you know what I mean? I've just found it a bit. You get that with soaps, but this week's been tough for me. There's not been enough of the stuff I like.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. Yeah, I love the fact that it's an Alf storyline and there's no Alf around involved as well, because it's a Bree storyline that it's all about her care of Alf, and basically there's been no Alf this week so it's been a bit weird. And I don't like a Mr. Stewartless week, so
well, that's true.
Thank God for John.
I know, lightening the mood a bit every now and then. He, speaking of Mr. Stewart, he's had one phone call this week, I think, into the storyline, with an update that he's with his wife, Rakoff.
Yeah.
But that's all we've heard from him. So
Yeah.
it's been a bit light this week, hasn't it? Which normally, as home and away fans, we know that means something bad's coming the week after normally. So you're happy to sit through. But I think it's one of those, if you don't like it, it's been very Bree heavy, very abs. It's been
Yeah.
one of those, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And they're really important stories. They're about mental health and they're about rehabilitation and drug abuse. They're really important stories. We're just not into the characters, and I think that makes a massive difference with these things, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, you've got
So,
to enjoy all of it, haven't you? The whole, aspect of it. If it's a character that you don't enjoy very much, you're never going to enjoy the storyline no matter what they throw at them, are you? So
no. There was some good stuff though. We'll talk about it as we go.
yeah.
Lots of callbacks to Flick, which I did quite appreciate, and it made me miss her a bit actually, which I'll come on to. But yeah, so other than that, we made it to the end of the week. We're looking forward ahead to next. Let's put it that way.
Next week.
Shall we do it then? Shall we discuss what's gone on in the Bay this week?
Yeah.
Lovely. So you'll think at the start of the week we joined. Perri was hearing about his bail. His bail hearing arrived at the beginning of the week. Cash, who's now back, and doesn't seem phased by a body in his backyard at all. Like, not even mentioned it. He doesn't like Perry's chances, does he, of getting off with these murder charges? And you'll remember we were left at the tip of last week with Theo down at the cop shop, confessing to stashing Perri at the garage last week. So that was all good on. He's spilling the beans about all that to Rose. And she's doing the whole dramatic cop lines, isn't she? You know, it is complicated being an accessory to murder, and all these dramatic things. So we're all into it at this point, and we're thinking, oh, heck, Theo's going to be in trouble. But one good thing that comes out of all this drama is it makes Justin and Leah talk. Hallelujah, as they say.
Hallelujah.
I
think that's quite the pronunciation.
No. Apologies. That might have to go in the edit. No, let's face it, I can't be bothered finding it. So Leah and Justin talk because they have to rush down and galvanise to support Theo, who is facing quite serious charges because he stashed a felon. So, regardless of what we think morally of the whole self-defense thing, now he gets bail, Perri, ultimately. Now, I don't know many people who are allowed bail when they've murdered their father. Do you?
Normally for murder, the bail is probably pretty high, which is probably why Tane's had to forfeit the gym, hasn't he, basically? Because he said, oh, thanks for putting the gym up for me. I can't believe you did that. So he's put his business on the line, hasn't he? I think what they've probably thought is this kid's not a serial killer. The chances of him killing someone else probably quite slim. The situation's quite exceptional. I mean, we've got to Jenny it, haven't we? Really? Yeah.
It's the worst police investigation I've seen in a while, and there are some bad ones on here, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a murderer on the loose. I'm being flippant. He's getting off. I mean, Theo he's facing serious charges, but after a quick chat with Cash, Rose learns that he was also knocked about by his father, and then she turns a blind eye to that. Another example of Rose needing a lesson about small town policing from Cash, aching back to her first day on the show. If you remember, giving Mr. Stewart a speeding ticket.
I've never forgiven her for that, so I'll never forget it. I quite like this, though. I quite like the fact that Cash turned up and sort of said, the stuff that you don't know, Rose, and I can fill you in with this, because like everyone at home is thinking it, aren't they? And it would be remiss of the show to sort of ignore the fact that this is why Perri feels comfortable with Theo, why Theo feels responsible for Perri in a way, because he's kind of looking at him going, this could have been my alternative future. If he hadn't been taken in by Leah and Justin and turned his life around, God knows where Theo could be. I mean, he had all that criminal history going on, didn't he? And his dad and everything. So he's been very lucky that he's had the support of decent people and not Darnay. And he's got a second chance at life, hasn't he? And I think it's important for the show to remind us via Cash and Rose's conversation as well, even though we'd never forget that. I think it's one of those things again where the show is not forgetting stuff that's happened, and we're not having to scream at the TV and say, but this, you know, we've been talking about that all last year, weren't we?
Yeah, I'm really good. They're getting so much better at calling back, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we praised them for it last year. And if this is a sign of that continuing, amazing. Bring it on, you know. Actually, I did need a reminder, if you remember. Last week, you had to tell me.
I did actually, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, all the praise goes to you here, so because I was just in the moment getting wound up, and you were like, hello, it's because he's also been there, and I'm like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
So I think it is easy to forget, and it's a really good reminder to us, the audience, that this sort of stuff stays with you into adulthood. And it doesn't leave you. You can go on and have amazing blossomed life and relationships that are really stable and a good job and do well for yourself. That shit sticks, you know, and that's a really good lesson. I think that's what this is for me anyway. That's what I took from this.
Yeah.
That Theo came into line for him and was stuck his neck out for him, because he's taken that through his entire life with him. And Perri is about to, you know, he's just much earlier on in that process. So Theo's off, Perri's on bail pending court dates, and we're in this sort of limbo land now, aren't we, with this storyline. Both Justin and Leah, they start apologizing for getting all wrapped up in themselves, because Theo's like, how could I talk to you? You had your own stuff going on. You were out in the cabin in the woods with that bimbo, and you were leaving, and you know, packed your bags, one in, one out, you know, whatever that was all about, that whole argument with Justin and Leah, which we spoke at length last week about. And they sit down and talk, the lot of them, don't they? And it's decided that Justin and Leah are going to try and work through it somehow, that there's still something between them. And but they don't seem to be able to get there. It just results in them biting each other's heads off, which I found quite monotonous this week. I don't know about you, Sophie, but I was just rolling my eyes at every scene thinking they're just going to storm off from each other again. Yep, and sure enough, that's what happened. Did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably hit home last week when we saw last week's episodes, when I think it was Leah said to Justin something like, "Oh, you running off to the hotel, to the dodgy motel was childish." And I thought, but 5 minutes ago you packed your bag and ran off to Mr. Stewart's and was like, "I've left him." Like, was that not childish? You know, I don't get it. I don't get these two. Like, they're just pointing fingers at each other. They're both doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I don't really know how it came to this.
No, I've lost track of who's left who and who's upset about what.
Yeah, I don't really know what we're fighting about anymore. Like, nobody cheated on anybody. Nobody did anything wrong, really. I mean, Justin's a plank, we know that, but he's always been a plank. And he should have told her about Claudia, but he didn't tell her. But, you know, that's not why we fell out. We fell out because we thought he was cheating on her and he wasn't. And now we're falling out because Leah thinks that he's a cheater, and he spoke to the husband and he believed the husband over Justin. And no, I don't care. Like, just, you're adults, get over it. Haven't they been through worse than this? This is like tiny.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? And that, I think that's why I'm feeling so passive about it, because it feels like it's melodrama and like it's not. We're all going to kiss and make up, so just get on with it. That's what it feels like, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
And it just feels like melodrama just for airtime's sake. It seemingly, like you say, it boils down to trust, and I'm not being funny. That's the fundamental foundations of a relationship. Go your separate ways. You're old enough and long enough in the tooth to just go. we don't trust each other. Let's call it quits, or let's
counselling.
work on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, why the childish storming out all the time? It's just driven me up the wall this week. It really has.
I just love the fact that when Justin does it, it's childish, and Leah's like, "Oh, you're so childish," and I'm like, "You literally did the same thing."
That's
I
Leah,
don't
though,
get.
isn't it?
Oh, I
That
know.
is Leah through and through. Honest to God, she's so infuriated. I mean, to be fair, last week I was defending her because I was a bit upset that he spun it on her, and that's not been everybody's view when I've been speaking online with people.
Oh, really?
And yeah. So that's not. She's one of those characters, though. She divides, doesn't she? And it's
Yeah.
always like that, no matter what she's up to. So that's been the general discourse around it. When I was chatting last week online. But it's just, oh God, I can't watch anymore. I'm like, just make up or split up. One of the two. I'll watch either of those. There's all these things like, I'm going back to the motel. Oh, go to the diner. And do you know that scene where she's talking to Maz and he comes in and then has another strop?
He comes in with a haircut as well. I was so distracted. I was like, where's he been? He's been to the barbers. What's going on? I was so distracted.
The issue.
I had to rewind the scene because I was too busy going, "Oh, he's had a haircut." I didn't actually hear what he said. Oh dear.
Yes, I did notice the fresh fade.
Oh dear. Yeah. No, it's just pathetic. Like you say, it's like, I don't want them to split up because I think this is such a stupid thing to split up over when they've been through so. I mean, for God's sake, if they can survive Yogurt Factory, if they can survive him driving them off into the middle of nowhere, getting kidnapped and locked up for a week, they can survive this, surely.
I know. A bit of a head turn. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just like, this scene in particular, I was just like, of course she's going to speak to her girlfriends because you keep walking out and going sleeping at a motel.
Yeah.
Do you think your wife doesn't talk to the girlfriends about their husbands? Do you know what I mean? We all do it, don't we?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you got to have someone to vent to. So in the end, it's overhearing Harper and Cash, isn't it? That sort of makes him wake up. And I'm glad it was him because that validated my feelings of defending Leah the week before. So he hears Harper giving Cash advice, doesn't it? And it makes him see sense. And he goes and says, "What we're doing, we need to talk." Yeah. If only you could have worked that out 3 episodes ago, I wouldn't have lost the will to live on Tuesday. So they decide, let's go on our second honeymoon. Woohoo! Just like that. That'll fix it. That'll fix all the trust. So off they go. God knows where on their second. They literally go immediately again. So do you know what? Well, at this point, you deserve an ambush.
I think Claudia probably knows a nice little cabin in the woods they could go to.
She's done him a deal.
Oh, dear.
On a mountain retreat. Oh God.
Yeah.
Contrived at its best. I'm trying to be positive, but I didn't enjoy it. I'm glad they're gone for a bit, and I hope they come back loved up and ready to move on, and we never talk about this whole saga again.
Ditto.
Is that a good summary?
Yeah.
Later in the week, Perri gets a call, doesn't he? About Theo's off the hook, he's fine, they're off on the honeymoon, great. But Perri's still dealing with still reeling from and dealing with all the consequences of this body in the pool, as somebody should. Do you know what I mean? And he gets this call, the coroner's releasing dad bod. So and Tane says, let the state deal with it. What a supportive bloke. Just let the state deal with your dad.
Awful. What an awful chap this guy is turning out to be. Mr. Family is everything. Yeah, just let the state dig a hole and shove him in it. Just put him down the sewer, Oh, I just can't. It's gone.
We're all foreigners. Let the state deal with it.
I
Like the
just
state are gonna. Oh,
I just can't
it's
with this guy.
he's lacking empathy and just general morality, I think, as the months tick by, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I feel like I know he's a bloke, and I know he and Perry are men, and men do this sort of thing, right? It's like, you know, shoulders back, head up, carry on. You can do it, pal. Stay strong. There is this sort of, and it's a society thing. It's toxic masculinity, right?
Mm.
But like, you know, no matter how tough, stuff gets and life gets, you sort of brush yourself off, and you keep going, and you make decisions, and it's matter of fact, and da 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 da. That's not what Perry needs. Perry, in
No.
my opinion, Perry at this moment, he needs a parent. He
Yeah.
needs someone to put their arms around him and say, "We'll make this decision easy for you. You know, take your time. Doesn't need to be made today. But this is a lot to deal with. You're being asked what you want to do with the body of your father, who you have just killed accidentally after suffering years of abuse at the hand of this person. That's just an insane thing to even say, let alone experience.
It is.
And you dismiss it.
Yeah. It's
You
awful.
know,
It's huge. I mean, I think even he was like, I can't believe they've asked me to decide what to do with the body of someone that I've killed.
mm,
But it's that really horrible situation where, yeah, he's killed him, and like you say, it's self-defense and all that stuff, but he is his next of kin. And the whole point of this storyline is that there's just been the two of them forever because mom's dead,
yeah,
so he is the next of kin. He has to be the person that's responsible for dealing with the funeral. But it's like, oh, it's so horrible. But like you say, the fact that Tane's just like, oh, yeah, just let the state do it, boy. I'm like, he he needs someone so badly. He doesn't even need a parent. He needs someone that's a good friend. The only person that has been a good friend to him lately is
Theo.
Theo.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even Theo was like, mate, I've never buried my dad. I wouldn't even know where to start. I can't tell you how to
Mm,
feel or what to do.
mm,
But he's willing to listen to him. That's what Theo gives Perry the time to call it, kind of say what he feels, get it off his chest, get his thoughts together, and like bounce some ideas off someone else, and say, this is how I feel. Tiny doesn't
yeah.
even give him the chance to do that. He doesn't ask him questions. He doesn't ask him if he's okay. Doesn't put himself in his shoes. And then he runs off and does baby stuff, at the drop of a hat. I'm just really over him.
I'm starting to see it. I've been sort of devil's advocate on here. I'm
Mm.
starting to see it. I think having the break, coming back, fresh eyes. I'm starting to see it. Sophie, and I'm like, oh, he's horrendous.
He's
Um,
awful. Honestly,
do
I
you
don't
know
know what
what?
they've done to him.
I know I'm going to lay some blame with Harper as well here,
Mm.
because like Perry seems to have turned 18 and she's washed her hands of him.
Yeah, I said that last week. Because she was his social worker, but as soon as he's
Yeah,
18, she's not
yeah,
anymore. And
yeah.
the state that we're talking about isn't interested in Perry anymore because he's an adult legally. So
Yeah.
it's just like, oh yeah, well, get on with your life and make your decisions and do, be a grown up. He got
Mm,
he got a social worker, and he got that program that he's meant to be on, to better his life. He got that for 5 minutes between the age of 17 and 18. And the minute he
yeah.
turned 18, all that support's gone.
Gone.
And
Yeah.
it was minimal to start with.
Yeah. And now he's facing, life in prison
Yeah, which is
as a result.
exactly what he was terrified of. The reason he came to the Bay,
Yeah.
the reason he moved in with Tane in the first place was because he was scared of going to prison. Next
Yeah.
time it won't be juvie and all that. And where
Yeah.
are we? We're in the same place. I think I said last week, Perry would have been better off if he just stayed with his dad,
Yeah, you did. Yeah. If
because
he'd
he
have done,
wouldn't
if
be a
he'd
murderer.
yeah, and if he'd have done the job and got caught, it'd have been a theft rather
Yeah,
than a
it'd be
death.
robbery. It'd
Yep.
be a
Yep.
few months inside for a robbery and out
Yep.
again.
Yep. I agree.
He's a
All the more
murderer now.
point. Yeah, he is. It's just like and he's the product of what's his surroundings and who he's surrounded by, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's face it.
yeah.
And I can't argue with it. Can't argue with it. You've got me on side. it's all the more poignant later in the week after Tane and Harper, knowing that he's having to now he's sitting on the beach staring into the sea, he's deep. He's thinking
Yeah.
deep here, like what what am I gonna do with my father? He's doing the age old sitting on the beach staring into sea. He's going through it if he's doing that,
Mm.
and Tane and Harper, rather than be there for him, they think, how do we get him off? Let's think court. Let's think, law. Let's go and find a witness. And they go off and start speaking to his old neighbours. You'd be mortified. They come home. They come home with a box of trinkets.
Oh God.
Which, by the way, this box was full of stuff from paintings and all sorts of childhood paraphernalia that his dad kept about him. That humanized his dad again, I think, for me, watching it. Okay, right, we're not just dealing with an abusive plonker in the pool here, and we're all about Perri. There is a person there who hasn't always been like that, who Perri did at one point look up to, and it sort of reconnected Perri, didn't it, to that happier time in his life when he was really young. And then he says, I know what to do with my father now. And Tane was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. I know, it's so he just doesn't give a shit, does he, Charlie?
No.
Like, he can't even force himself to give a crap about Perri. He just wants him gone so that he can start all the baby stuff. He gets so illuminated and animated when we're talking about the baby, and he's grabbing her belly and everything. And I was like, if you were even half as interested in Perri, that kid wouldn't be going to prison right now. Like,
yeah. And Harper's doing the usual thing because she's head over heels in love with him. She's doing whatever he wants, following him around even Cash saw it this week.
Yeah.
Have you told him? Does he know you're in love with him? And that was just from seeing him at the beach.
Yeah.
Next to the bench that we had a bacon butty on.
I tell you what, though, when that box arrived at the house, when Tani had that box that was like, oh, this was stashed under your dad's bed and it's got all that masking tape around it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, opening a box.
I know what you're gonna say.
Opening a box like that looks so suspicious, that's been stashed under a long time single middle-aged man's bed.
Oh no, okay, I don't know what you're gonna say.
I was like, I think someone should have checked the contents of that before handing it to his son, because you don't know what your parents have got stashed away in their house. That could have ended very badly. Could have been something
as
really
if he's not got enough mental issues.
I know. I was thinking, oh, poor lad, if this is going to scar him, it could be even worse.
Oh no, I was thinking
BDSM porn.
I didn't go there, but yeah, now I am.
I thought it was going to be something horrendous. It was going to give him nightmares. I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad it was just like Perri's artwork and his passport and stuff. But oh my God, I was like, you don't open a box under a middle-aged man's bed. Like,
you don't want to find your dad's douche, do you?
No.
You know what I mean?
Butt plugs and BDSM porn. That's what I was thinking. Oh dear! I was mortified. I was like, I'm going to check that before they give it to his grieving, traumatized child. Oh dear! No, thank God it was just passport and a painting of mum and dad when things were much happier.
Yeah.
Oh dear!
I think we're still missing some vital stuff here. We're missing the period between Perri being drowned in the pool and Dad being drowned in the pool. I need some details.
Yeah.
We know we learned the court case sounds like it's next week, so hopefully we go through some stuff there. We were hoping for some cash backs. I've relinquished that hope now. I've let go of that. Don't think that's going to happen.
No. Do you think we're going to see the court case even?
Well, that's 50-50 on home and away, isn't it? So
yeah,
we don't know.
Sometimes we just hear about it, don't we? And it's like, oh, well, so-and-so did well in court today. It's like, oh, it's over. Right, okay.
Yeah, we didn't see the bail hearing, so I'm not holding out hopes, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, good point.
My other thought is a bit left field, but maybe we could have Dad haunting him for a bit, even if
we
it's
do we
just in
do
his.
love a ghost.
We do. We do love a ghost. But even if it's just in his mind, like, because he's killed him and it's his conscience, like, your little
Yeah,
run, like, a bit of that wouldn't go amiss. Just spice things up a bit next week. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, ghost dad. Yeah, we
Yeah,
need a bit of ghost
yeah,
dad. Yeah,
yeah, I think so. We've had it before. I don't think it'd be too hard push to sort
yeah.
that.
Mm.
But either way, I'm worried. We're going into Perry make or break next week. Is he a guest character? He's not main, is he?
Perry, I'm not sure.
I'm feeling like he's come to the end of his cycle.
I mean,
I feel like we might be losing him.
I can't see a place for him now because I can't see
No.
him long term living with Tane with baby on the way.
Yeah, same. That's what I'm thinking. So we'll have to keep our eye on that.
He's going to prison, isn't
Um,
he? Basically, I
mm,
think.
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm. Max signing on the dotted line this week. It's all hers. Xander tells her you'll be great and you'll do Felicity proud. I quite enjoyed these scenes because they were nothing scenes really, but
Yeah.
they were quite vital because the ownership of the biggest sort of public communal set has transferred again, and it got my mind racing because I think by Wednesday I was rebranding Salt in my mind and everything. So he's like, you'll do Felicity proud. Cash comes over, signs the paperwork. There's a bit of a moment with Cash, isn't there? And, mulling into a coffee. And he and Mac, they have a really good scene, actually. There isn't a scene that Emily Ware can't do. Like, she smashes everything. And I think her and Nick Cartwright have really good chemistry, not in sort of a romantic way, but just sort of working with each other way. And I really just fell into those scenes, and I just got caught up in them.
Yeah.
And even though, he's all there staring into his coffee, Max, or, what, tell me, open up to me. And I think it was good for Cash because he's dealing with this having to let go. He's had to let go of Michelle last week. He's now having to let go of Felicity. And he turns around and he says to her, which is such a gorgeous line. He says, every decision I make, I feel like I'm getting further away from Felicity. And Max says, yeah, I know what you mean. Like that they're both on that same level, like he's not going to her as the grieving brother, and no one's really understanding him and they're all going, there, like she knows, she gets it, because she
Yeah.
feels it too. And I just thought it was a really nice point in this massive transition for the show, actually, because like I say, it's such an important part of the show, that restaurant, and
It
who
is.
runs it is a big role.
It is a big role, and this whole thing makes me really nervous. I'll be honest. This whole change. I know it's not the first time she's been in charge of Salt completely on her own. I know that's how it started, wasn't it? When she first came into the show, and she owned the restaurant outright. I think, did her dad buy it for her or something? I can't remember.
Well, she nicked the money or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's owned it outright before. So this isn't unfamiliar territory. It's not like they, Flick and Mac bought the restaurant together and it's always been like both of their legacy and all that sort of stuff. But when Mac was in charge of the restaurant on her own, I mean, she even said it this week, Flick saved the business because Mac ran it into the ground and got himself in so much debt. And I do feel nervous. I know she's moved on and I know she's older and she's wiser and all of that sort of stuff. But I still feel like there's that potential in Mackenzie to just burn something to the ground.
I agree. And I think you're right, Soap, and I think you're right to be worried. And do you know why? I think there's been quite a lot of foreshadowing about it. The fact that you've just mentioned it, she said it this week. Oh, I hope this time I can do better. Hello, red flag, alarm bell. And then the fact that there's been quite a lot of emphasis on her having to borrow the money to do it.
Yes.
more than just one or two throwaway scenes. You know, there was conversations with Levi about not borrowing off him, borrowing off a bank. There was loads of scenes about application. There was loads of scenes about her looking up loans, payday loans at one point she was Googling, and that's not been mentioned since. So I think you're right to be concerned. I think she has borrowed up to her eyeballs to do this. Is she going to be able to make it work? History tells us not.
Yeah, and if she has gone down that route, I'm going to be cross, because there was an easier option. Xander had the money available. Xander was willing to put 50% in or whatever, and go halves with her, and she's just got really stubborn and said no. Like, it's my business. I want to run it myself. I don't want Levi's help. I don't want anyone's help. Blah 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 blah. She's just gone, I can do it on my own. And when Max says I can do it on my own, I don't believe her.
No, same. You're right. And Xander's being really good about it nowadays. He's quite supportive of her. Despite, he's got the business school thing going on, so I think he's off to better things, isn't he? Weddings and things, bar mitzvahs or whatever we said, the joke we made. So I think he's thinking, great for you, good for you. I'm out of here soon when I graduate.
Yeah.
So lovely touch in that he then makes a cocktail. One of Xander's signatures, he loves making a cocktail, doesn't he? The Felicitini, in memory of Felicity, with a sassy lemon twist. Oh yeah. So that'll be nice. That despite everyone feeling like that's the last chapter of Felicity Newman closed. She's now severed with the Bay completely. There's a cocktail on the menu that will live on forever in her name, which I thought was a lovely touch.
Very
I
apt.
did wonder whether we'd have a rebrand a restaurant, Flicks or something, but
oh no, I'd have hated that, I think.
Yeah.
No, I think a cocktail's enough, because when we got to know Flick, they was dancing on the bar in that, is it Yabby Creek or in the city or somewhere, where she had that.
She was working in a bar, yeah.
And she was doing, cocktail waitress, wasn't she? So it's a nod back to that. It's a nod back to her, the way that we sort of saw her join the show. So
yeah,
I think that's enough. I think naming the bar after her would have been, for me, a bit too much. Too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a nice, classy, like you say, full circle, close the chapter. And it just got me feeling all nostalgic about Felicity, and then all the sort of trauma I went through last year losing her.
Oh, no.
It felt nice. It was a nice warm feeling, wasn't it? Saying goodbye to her, really. We were with Cash and Max saying goodbye to her at that point.
Yeah.
So right, the tribunal hearing at the hospital gets underway. Dr. Levi's got a diary clash, though. Standard. Abs from Five's got a counselling because she's on the smack, you'll remember. So he asks Eden to go instead. This proves problematic because Abby was counting on Levi, and it turns out that Abby, not only does she blame absolutely anybody else she claps eyes on for everything going wrong in her life, she also blames Eden for quite a lot of it as well. So this proves quite difficult as they get up on the journey up to this Northern District's retreat for whatever the sign said, rehab and something. I was looking for Irene on the lawn, I must admit.
What, face down?
Thinking, is that way?
Face down in the tulips.
I'm not lying. I scanned the screen for her.
Oh, really? We haven't forgotten you, dolls. We haven't forgotten you.
I know. You're there somewhere, but it must be a different rehab.
Yeah.
Not this one. They get there and they're greeted by Tim Russell. Tim, easy on the eye, Tim. Tim, cool counselor, as the alliteration went that Abby addressed him as. She bails, though. She's not interested. She doesn't want to do it. There's a particular problem with Eden, who tries to talk to her. and she's like, Eden's having to say to Tim, look, I'll get her in one way or another, leave me to it, and she's giving her the pep talk in the van, isn't she? You'll never get another chance like this, Abs. And she's all, stop trying to control me, I'm not going in there. And Eden taps the steering wheel to annoy her, so she gets out the car. My notes say Eden tapas the steering wheel, not Eden taps. And she
Interesting.
snaps, yeah, I'd rather talk to a stranger than news. That whole trope, isn't it? That soap trope. So she goes in and she talks to him about all the problems, and starts opening up gradually to the counsellor. The counsellor who loves to wear a hoodie.
He's very chilled, isn't he? This counsellor, very
He
laid back.
Cool counsellor, Tim.
I got a bit nervous with his surname though, Russell.
I did. I'm glad you say this, right? I'm glad you say this. We know another Russell.
Angie and
yeah, it won't be though. These are these Easter eggs the writers keep doing.
I know. Yeah, they did it with the Mathesons, didn't they?
Yeah. And I kicked myself because I interviewed Dana. I was meant to ask her about Matheson, and I totally forgot.
I get the impression she wouldn't know what the hell you were talking about.
Probably not.
She'd have been like, who?
Before my time, Dal. Not
exactly.
in the mood.
I don't think she would have known, even if you asked her. Don't worry.
No, but I was meant to anyway. But I forgot. Yeah, Russell gives us all a bit of a chill. Airs on the back of your neck stand up a bit, don't we? When you hear that name. So
yeah.
He's not going to be psycho Russell, though, is he? Surely.
I don't know. I mean, first impressions, he seems all right to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't trust a cancer in a hoodie myself.
No, I do think he comes across. Maybe it's his way of getting them to talk, because I don't know whether Abby would have spoke to someone if he was all suited and booted. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah.
She'd have been like, "Oh, I'm not talking to this stiff in the suit." You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe it's his way of getting them to feel more relaxed. But I did feel like he was trying to be younger than his years.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Remy.
I know. I was about to say, it's a little bit like me trying to be cool online, knowing nothing go. It's a bit like me on TikTok. Do you know what I mean? Just doesn't quite work, does it?
It did feel a little bit like, it's a bit trying too hard, maybe to be a bit too chill. Yeah. I don't know. I did find one of the lines interesting though that we've discussed off air, where he's obviously had conversations with Abby and he's come out and he's speaking to Eden, isn't he? And then he goes, "What's lyric?"
Oh yeah.
And then her line, do you remember what she said?
Ancient history. Don't worry about it.
Now,
that's exciting.
Is that for our benefit? Is that to tell us in the audience? Or was that out of embarrassment because she didn't want to go, I'm in a band?
Well, yeah. Because if you remember, on First Look last week, wasn't the line, because remember we were like, who the fuck's Tim? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And wasn't the line Eden opens up to Tim? It wasn't Abby opens up to Tim, was it?
Oh, I don't remember now. I'll have to go back and listen. I can't remember. You've got a better memory than me.
Maybe, yeah, but I think my memory's starting to trick me, because me and you will have conversations and you'll be like, that didn't happen, and I'll be like, did I dream it? So I don't know whether I'm just making shit up now. Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen. But I don't know. There was quite a lot of Abby hates Eden and leaving her in abandonment. Is if Eden then starts dating the Tim, moving on from Cash, is there something going on there? And then Abby's going to be like, I can't believe you started dating my counsellor. I'm running here before I'm walking, but
That would
You
be
know,
messy. Because at the moment, Abby to me is coming across as just a bit bratty. And I'm struggling with the storyline, I'll be honest, for two reasons. First of all, he's asked her again this week, how did you get into drugs? Oh, I went to a party and someone had some. No, I'm sorry. You don't go to a party and then end up on heroin. It's too weird. I'm sorry. That's just too much of a trajectory. And even he was like, how many times have you told this story? And how about you give me the truth now? Like, because I was thinking there's got to be more to this. You don't just go to a party and 1 minute you're drinking, hooch, and the next minute you're shooting up in the corner. Like,
yeah,
you just don't do that.
yeah. It's a
No
bit
matter
of a hop,
how
skip, and a jump, isn't it? That.
exactly. And also the fact that even if I was to believe that, even if I could Jenny it and believe that it was that easy for her to fall into that whole lifestyle, the fact that the reason being why she did it was because, oh, my parents got divorced and my sister was always off with her friends. I'm sorry, that's not enough of a reason either to get into hard drugs
No,
overnight.
no.
I'm finding this really hard. But if Eden then went and sort of shagged a counsellor while she's seeing him, then yes, I would start to feel a little bit sorry that for Abby that Eden is trying to piss on her life a little bit, because that would be out of
same.
order.
Yeah, she'd have a bit more reason, wouldn't she, to be upset with her. This whole, you chose to go and live your life as a young teenager, and and you were there for me, or it's just pathetic, especially as an adult. So, and a lot of people who watch the show and talk online are all saying the same thing. She's just being a childish brat, and I can't believe someone who's got to that stage of her life is still holding on to that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's like 8-year-old shit. Do you know what I mean?
You have
Like
to get to the point where you take responsibility for it. And I think she has to take responsibility for the fact that she chose to do drugs.
Yeah,
and it's not
absolutely.
because of Eden, it's not because of Levi, it's not because of her dad or her mum or anyone. She chose to do it, and yet there might have been a reason behind it. The reason might have been she was lonely and she was miserable and she wanted to do it to fit in because she didn't feel like she fit in anywhere else, and she didn't feel like she had a crowd, and she didn't feel she felt like the black sheep of the family or whatever it is. That's a reason, but it's not an excuse, and she can't blame those people. She made that decision. I think she's not got the maturity in her to take acceptance for her actions.
Yeah, completely agree. Hopefully, through these sessions with Tim, we start to come round with her, because I think she definitely needs it. She's now started the. She's now started. I don't
You've just got me
know. I
really
don't
scared
know.
now that Eden's going to start shagging a counsellor and the whole thing is going to be about Eden.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forget I said anything,
Oh,
because I don't
no.
know that. I don't know, but for me, they were just talking a lot, as she stormed off. Or
I thought it was just because she was the patient's, family. And
maybe.
You get half the story from the patient, you get the other, because if your patient's saying, oh, the reason I'm doing this is because of my sister, you'd want to meet the sister and be like, what's going on with her then?
Yeah, but obviously there's some confidentiality stuff mixed in.
Yeah.
And that would make Tim, breaking all sorts of rules.
Yeah.
The way I can see it, this is the way I see it going down. Abby is gonna miss sessions. Tim's gonna come looking for her and be like, "Why are you not coming?" And then he's going to be spending time with Eden. He's going to open up. Eden's going to start saying things like, because we learn later in the week, Levi gets it out of Abby, why she's got a particular problem with Eden, and says we need to just let the counselor do his job. So I think Eden's going to start the guilt stuff. She's got enough going on as Eden.
Yeah. I know. You think so, wouldn't you? But...
So I think she very well could find herself talking to this Tim one night. Maybe I'm getting way ahead of myself. I don't know anything. We're spoiler free, but like, he's got a name, so he's not going anywhere. So there's a story here somewhere. There's a story. And maybe this is the start of Abby's redemption. We said when this needs to be sped up, we need to start liking her because it's been going on too long. Somebody online last week did remind me that there was a 7-week break. I was like, yeah, that's not helped.
No, that's true.
Maybe through these counselling sessions, we start to understand her a bit more, because I think at the moment we're all grown-ups going, I don't understand you. It's childish. I don't understand why you're so hung up about it. So I think we might understand her a bit more, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Back in town, Marilyn's quizzing Dana about how impartial these hospital tribunals are that Levi can't go to the counselling for because he's so busy preparing for, you see. And the hearing gets underway and Dana's giving that away. She's like, it's very serious, they take it very serious, these medical professionals. And Marilyn's like, yeah, well, I don't believe anyone. I'm loving Marilyn, just not trusting no one.
Yeah, good
like,
for her.
She's backing Mr. Stewart more than he's backing himself. He just got in his car and fucked off. Do you know what I mean?
He's just glad to be alive, isn't he? He's just
I know. The
Jesus.
guy's thinking, I'm definitely on my 9th life here. I'm on at least my 16th heart attack. The hearing gets underway. Bree's stressed out. Remy goes and attends it after hearing from Kirby. Quite crucially, I think, as we find out later in the week, Kirby mentions her OCD stuff when Remy was in the hospital after the bike accident last year. Which seemingly no one's mentioned to Remy. I just assumed he knew about that until this moment. So
he's seen her though. He's seen her cleaning the fridge in the middle of the night.
I'm sure he has. Yeah, he's questioned it, hasn't he? Thank you, Sophie. Thank you for reminding me about that.
He got up in the middle of the night. Do you remember? And she was like cleaning the share house fridge.
Yes, she was, marigolds and all. You're right.
And he was like, what are we doing?
And he was concerned then, wasn't he? He was concerned then.
Yeah.
So this can't be new information. This sends him up to the hospital anyway, where the hearing is, doesn't it? Bree goes in, does the interview. She's snapping at Levi as he's coming out. Are you done saying lies about me? Oh, piss off, Bree. I'm getting annoyed with her. And I've said a lot of swear words on this pod. Oh, dear. I do apologise.
No, I'm sorry. We talk about Tane having a personality transplant, but where's this personality come from? She's something else.
She is, isn't she?
She's like evil Bree. I don't understand. I don't know where this came from.
I know. And then, not only that, she goes in and she says, yeah, well, he shouldn't have even been there. His ward's on a different floor. He's an egotist and it's all his fault. And, I'm going to counterclaim and say that by the way, things went the way they were. And
by the way, he tried to kill my boyfriend once.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, she doesn't say boyfriend, does she? She says another patient of mine.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just a mess.
Yeah.
So Levi then gets called in. He's unhappy, goes and confronts her. Remy's like, what the hell are you doing, woman? What the hell? Like a caveman. She feels unsupported by him, doesn't she? Ultimately. And Remy feels frustrated. I think he's starting to now. He's kept a distance, hasn't he? We were laughing last week. Have you spoke to your counsellor? Have you told your counsellor about that? He kept himself at arm's length last week. This week, he's got no choice because he's now learned from Kirby that things are quite serious. She seems to be displaying similar behaviours. She's erratic. She's up. She's down. She's swinging left and right. She's a pendulum Bree, and she's unpredictable at the moment. And I think he recognises that this is now a mental thing, rather than a medical thing that's happened at work. And after a bit of a falling out, and him giving her a few truths about it, she says she withdraws her complaint, doesn't she, against Levi the next day and says, I'm going to withdraw it. She then goes in and she comes out from this tribunal board and says, I've taken a load of leave. They can't suspend me if I'm on leave. I'm like, well, they can when you get back. Okay. Yeah. What are you wasting leave for when you could be suspended on full pay, you silly woman?
I don't understand this at all.
I don't get it. I don't get it. And then she's like, "Well, I'm on holiday. Let's get drunk." She's having daytime savvy B, and she's trying to get him to Asia at one point. Like, I'm like, and Remy's like, "What you doing? You know, this isn't right. You're not right." And she's like, "I am right. This is right." And I'm like, "I don't care. Who cares?" Oh God, Sophie. Oh.
It is a chore. I'm sorry. Oh, I can't invest in Bree. It's been how long has she been here now? 2 years.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
longer? It feels like forever.
Mm.
I can't invest in this woman. When she first came into it, I was far more invested in the whole Jacob, that whole abusive storyline. Her and Remy, all of that was fire. We've talked about that loads of times on here. That was fire. Since then, I've not been able to get on board there at all. And even now, while she's displaying these different personality traits, which arguably are more interesting than her normal personality, I still can't get invested in her because it doesn't feel. It feels like she's putting it on. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm just not buying this. It feels like the whole thing is an act, even when it's not. I don't get it. I
Do
don't
you
know whether it's
think?
the portrayal or I
Yeah.
can't. I don't know. It feels really amdram for me.
Yeah,
This.
no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I don't want to be awful, but I just think taking that away, taking that analysis away from it, let's just focus on the character alone. It's a character that we're familiar with, but we don't know anything about. She's
Yeah.
done nothing. She's been
Yeah.
really, she's been chronically underdeveloped, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think, you know, she's got no family. She's got nothing around her as a character. She had a really good abusive husband story. We know that he paid for her to go to school and become a doctor, and that is all we know.
Yeah.
And he knocked her about.
And then her dad
That is
died,
all.
and she went
Yeah.
home for a week and then came back.
But what an opportunity for us to explore her wider family and her upbringing and where she's from. We know nothing about her, and I don't know whether I mean, it must be a deliberate choice. I know sometimes other stories that are more interesting and other characters that resonate better with the audience perhaps take more center stage.
Yeah.
But I think, and she's a doctor, which is such a crucial role on a soap because you're involved in everybody's storyline at some point. I don't know. We just know nothing about her, so why should we care?
I know.
Why should we care?
I feel like I'm watching a robotic Barbie doll a lot of the time, and it's like 1 minute she's being,
Sex bot doll.
she is 1 minute she's like a robotic doctor, like, oh yes, you've got a tumor or whatever, and it's very serious and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, I can buy the doctor stuff because she is very bland
Matter of fact,
and serious and doctorish. You know what I mean? I can buy that, but this whole personality twist that she's got going on now, it's still robotic. It's still coming across as, I don't know. It's just disjointed. I'm not enjoying it as much as normally. You know, like we have Bad Maz. When Bad Maz happens and she's clapping back and she's saying things that are out of character, and we're loving it because it's like, oh my God, Bad Maz. It's not like that, is it? It's just like, it's just Bree being a bit weird. And it's just annoying. It's actually annoying. It's not even.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm at the point where I was with, remember, Chloe, and I was like, I'm gonna have to follow with the scenes.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm getting there. I am.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. Whether this is an exit for her, I don't know, but it's criminal, really. You know, I feel for the character, I feel for the actor, because there's so much missed potential here, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
We don't know anything. There's been months where we've barely seen her.
I know.
You know, I've never been invested in Remy and Bree. You know, their will they, won't they, on and off nonsense. It looks like they're on the rocks again. So they're breaking up again. Which, to be fair, this time round, it's a better reason than you went on a bike. You know?
Yeah,
Do you
this
know
is
what I
at least
mean?
a good reason to break up.
Mm.
Oh,
So I'm just not here for it, and I feel awful saying it. But you don't like everything, do you? You know, there might
no.
be fans out there that are into this, you know, and they want
Yeah,
it,
I
and
think
we'll
I
hear
think
from them, I'm sure.
to give it some praise if I can, because it's not, like you say, it's not all bad. I'd say the one thing that I do like about the storyline is that it has been consistent, and we do
Mm,
have, essentially, we have a doctor who has serious mental health issues that
yeah,
have not been addressed consistently since she's been on the show. You know,
yeah,
because she's been through a traumatic time. She has been in an abusive relationship. She has killed her abuser, who was her husband, and then immediately gone into this relationship with Remy, with someone that she's never, she was with her husband forever.
mm,
Led quite a sheltered life, if we're supposed to believe it, before she met Remy. Then she's had all of the doors opened up for her, but she
yeah,
hasn't really done anything, and she has consistently been either whatever this is, it OCD or obsessive, whatever it is, that has been consistent. I just think the personality change with it this time, the fact that she's just, I don't know, the tit for tat, the revenge with Levi.
yeah.
And like you say, coming out of that meeting and being like, well, they can't suspend me if I'm on holiday, haha. I don't know. It's just, that just doesn't feel natural to
No,
me.
at that point, do you know what I said? I turned to my partner and I said, I'd just push her into the lift shaft if she said that to me.
Oh my god.
Open the lift
Yeah,
door and push her in. Oh,
push her
yeah,
in.
I get it.
Yeah.
And you're right. You've summarized that really well, Sophie. Um, so yeah, this is just someone we don't know enough about to care. And
No.
considering the length of time she's been on the show,
Mm.
don't want to say it's anyone's fault, but someone's to blame.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
they've
know?
just not fleshed her out. I mean, I think
No.
they've tried not to do that whole, because she is a doctor, and I think they've tried to make her like a serious doctor so that we can take
Mm,
her seriously when she's in the hospital, and when she's in charge
yeah,
of the hospital, I can take her seriously, because I'm
yeah.
like, oh, it's Bree, and of course she's going to be like, robotic doctor or whatever. But then they've done that at the kind of, the loss of her having a personality outside of work, because they don't want to make her too fun or too interesting outside of that,
Mm,
because they're trying to keep her a serious doctor, but then they just keep wheeling out
yeah.
mental health, and it's like,
Mm.
oh, how long can you keep a character dangling on the edge of her mental health for, before she loses it completely?
Right, Sophie, it's time for your say on the bed.
My
I'm
say.
stealing. I'm stealing all your catchphrase.
I know. Steal away, steal away. Oh dear.
Hello and welcome to your say on the bait. They've had enough of our say. They've had enough of our say. So this is the part of the show where we go through all the listener comments and the other viewers' comments, and we share what you think and we react to them. However, your voice is holding on in there, so I'm going to do it this week, if you don't mind.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, give you a bit of a rest. I don't know if you know, listeners, but we not only are a weekend podcast, we're here every Saturday and every Sunday we look at the week ahead, but we are here every evening in between as well. We live message online, don't we? As the show airs on 5 Star at 6:30 every weeknight. Come and join us on Twitter. Hashtag Home and Away UK. There's a good community. We're all on there. Our handle is Coastal News Pod. Give us a follow. We react live as we go along. We're also on all the other social medias. If you're not on Twitter, I know many people aren't these days, less and less. We're on Blue Sky. You can do the exact same thing. Come and speak to us on the hashtag. We will reply. We're on Facebook, Coastal News Podcast. We're on Instagram, Coastal News Pod. We're on YouTube. Just comment on one of our episodes and we'll reply to you. You can get us anywhere, really, can't they? Threads, even a little bit. Trying to remember to check it. And you can also email us, coastalnewspod@gmail.com. What we love about this podcast is it's brought us friends and other viewers. It's brought a community together, and that's the bit you and I both love, isn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from, obviously, our own friendship as a result, and obviously going to Palm Beach, but because that just trumps everything. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Now, many of you do email in, and we've had a few emails, Sophie. They just missed recording last week, but I thought it'd be really good to start your say on the Bay return for season 5, going through some of these emails, because it's people's first reaction to the show coming back in 2025.
Yeah.
So if you're game, we'll go through these emails from last weekend. That's all right with you.
Brilliant. Who's been emailing us?
First one is from Jacob. Usual on the emails. Jacob, Happy New Year.
Hi, Jacob.
Hello. Thanks always for your support. These guys emailed us Friday afternoon before the podcast was back for the first episode, and before, we'd already planned the recording out by then, hadn't we? And we did a big sort of summary of our trip to Oz, so we couldn't get it in last week. So this is the first chance we got it in. Thanks for just thinking of us ahead of us even being back. The mind boggles. But Jacob says, Happy New Year to you both. I hope you are well and had a bonza time down under. And a fantastic Chrissy. I enjoyed the 2 interviews you uploaded. However, Sophie, please tell Si I am not speaking to him.
No,
as he got to spend all that time with Ali Harris.
Yes, you've made men across the country very jealous, and certainly very many ladies very jealous as well. Yes, you have.
Is that a sentiment you're hearing? Is it?
Yes, it is a common theme that I've been hearing since you did that interview. Yes, a lot of people are very gel. Yeah.
Soz. So Cash's obsession almost got out of hand, didn't it? Thankfully, Michelle has skipped town in time, and I'm sure as soon as he gets back to work, he'll be able to move on and concentrate on catching other Summer Bay crims. Tarnay is in trouble with the law again, and this time he is suspected of aiding and abetting a fugitive. Do you think Harper will conduct the social services risk assessment before their baby is born, or will it be one of her colleagues? Very good thought. It's a bit of a deep thought, but it is something worth considering.
That's true. Oh dear. Yeah.
And he says, talking of Cash and Tarnay, are they sharing the same wardrobe? See attached photo. Now, he has attached...
Oh, I know what this is, because I said the same to you.
Yes, the very same. You sent me a picture of this saying they've got a multi-pack.
It was the Levi's t-shirt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was one of them wearing a dark coloured, and the other one was wearing a light coloured.
That's right. Yeah.
Cash was wearing white, and Tarnay was wearing...
He's like a khaki green or something.
Yeah, green. Yeah. Oh, Jacob, I love the fact that you noticed that as well, because I literally WhatsApped Si that same day and said they're wearing the same t-shirt in the same scene together in different colours.
Well spotted.
It's so funny. Oh, it made me laugh as well because Levi wasn't wearing one. It's got his name on it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
They missed a trick there, didn't they?
I know. It's Levi's. Levi should be wearing Levi's t-shirt. It's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah. Perri can't stay hidden forever. Will he be found, or will he hand himself in? Will Justin go back to work? So many questions, and obviously this is a week ago. So, but you're right. That first week did leave us. It was quite compelling. We were left with so many questions. Can Coastal News Pod please start a petition to get Theo a haircut?
No.
It just really annoys me. Why hasn't someone told him to get his curly mullet cut? I don't mind it,
I think it looks good. I do remember a lot of comments before the break about him needing a haircut. I saw a lot of those on Facebook and on Twitter, and I just thought I don't really agree. I don't think he needs to cut it.
Yeah, I don't. I quite like it.
I
And as
quite like him
someone,
looking like a bit of a unshorn lamb.
and
It looks
as
a
a
little bit
gentleman who
sheepy.
has grown his hair shoulder length myself before, it's
Yeah,
really hard going, especially that middle bit. It's hard, let alone in the
yeah,
public eye.
yeah.
So good on him, I say. Sorry, Jacob, we're not with you on that. Um, he does go on to say, I'm glad Mr. Stewart is all right after his health scare. Surely Bree will be sacked after this. You'd think,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you? But she seems to have gone on leave and avoided the whole thing. With Levi and possibly Dana's statements, Marilyn's complaint, Bree surely can't stay on the wards after this. Let's hope not. That attitude on Abigail, he goes on to say, I'm surprised Kirby didn't slap her. And if she is sticking around in manta ray boards, then the best thing she can do is put on that bloody t-shirt and shut her flaming mouth. Spoken like a true Aussie man, I'd say, Jacob. He then says he wants to share some of his favourite one-liners of the week with us to finish off his email. And he says, Perri says, would I trust you? You're the one that called the cops on me. And Tane said, well, I didn't have a choice. We had a body in the pool.
He's got a point, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome to have you back on Spotify. Have a great weekend and a good weekend and a good week ahead. And later on, he's put Harper's line knocking on the door. Hey, we've got a problem. And Tane responds, another one.
Oh God.
Thanks as always, Jacob, for your email.
Thank you.
And welcome back to a new year. We also had another email from Emma.
Oh yeah.
She emailed in, as she often does. Hello, Emma. Happy New Year to you.
Emma.
Hello. She did say, Happy New Year, guys. I'm so pleased the podcast is coming back and that Home and Away is back on TV. Well, I know in our world, Justin has been in the bush for about 2 months. However, in Home and Away land, he's been there for about 2 days. The break does squee with the old timeline in your mind, doesn't it, Emma?
Slept in his car for 2 months.
I know, yeah, dreaming. Leah completely overreacting and leaving Justin for half an episode, I must say. Has she not heard of trust? He could have been dead in a ditch. This is the argument, you see. You and I haven't really seen this point, have we? But some people have been saying Leah's out of order. Her first thought was cheat, not is he hurt? I think that's what some people are struggling to get their head around,
I guess so. I don't know what I would have thought in her situation. I don't think I'd have come to either of those conclusions. I think I would have waited until I knew what was going on. But
if your other half didn't come home all night, would you think dead, cheating, or something else?
No, I'd just be like, oh, for God's sake, what's happened? I'd just wait to find out. I wouldn't assume.
I think the husband got in her head personally, and I think she listened to it more because she just freshly found out he was lying to her for weeks. So I think she was hurt. She found out he was capable of lying to her, and he was good at it. And I think that made her listen to the husband a bit more, than perhaps she would have done.
True. Yeah.
Emma goes, let's face it, I don't think Justin is bright enough to have an affair. Sometimes he forgets he owns his own business.
So true. So true.
She says, back favourite Cash's house, Perri Chicken's dad is dead in the pool, and Cash and I can't remember her name, so we'll call her Felicity's donor, came back from seeing Garrett. I think she means Michelle.
Michelle, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't really seem overly alarmed, did Cash, when he got home, that there was a body in the pool.
No one's cleaned that fucking pool yet,
Yeah, he's there just happily having a cup of tea in the house. Yeah, everyone was just sort of, cool, there's a body outside. However, I'm really liking the relationship between Eden and Felicity's donor. One thing I have noticed is that her body language is very similar to Felicity's. which is making it a bit eerie for me. Take care, guys. Emma.
Ooh, I hadn't noticed that, Emma. I hadn't noticed the body language
No.
being like flicks.
Might have to go back and have a look at that.
That's interesting.
What organs did she receive off Felicity? Can't remember now.
Was it lungs and something else?
I don't know. I just can't believe she was running around the bay and going on long drives to Gary's house a week after having that done.
With absolutely no scar tissue whatsoever.
No scar, no oxygen, just
just a new pair of lungs, Dal. It's
Off you go,
ridiculous.
Dal.
Ridiculous.
Oh, gosh.
No, I'd not noticed that. No, thanks, Emma. That's interesting. I'll have to see if I can go back and have a look.
And we'll let you know. Thanks for your emails, guys. We're not going to do any social media this week. It's just been a busy week, but keep them all coming in, whether it be on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube, yada, 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 or on the email. Keep your comments coming in, and we might just read yours out on Your Say on the Bay in the future.
Please take the time to like, subscribe and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.